Hmm? Hmm? We're working now? There we go. I forgot to turn on the RTX audio app thing. That's annoying. What's going on? To say, it's been quite the week here. Very busy. I really wasn't ready for tonight. Didn't know if I was going to stream or not, but I ended up getting almost everything done. I have a few things. I have 2 things left to print, which one's printing right now. And it takes about, what, 25 minutes, I think, to print the part, and then another 25 minutes after that. So I'll get it done, and we'll be able to get all that stuff installed tonight. That'll be pretty good. Oh, so yeah, so this is going to be part, what is it, 6 now of it? Oh, hey, Eduardo. So yeah, this is part 6 of the BLV MGN Cube build. And today we're working on the front panel. So where I left off on Monday was things were kind of working, but I was still having issues with some of the motors. I sorted all that out. Just again, with just me and not very good with Marlin 2.0. It takes a little bit to get things going. But anyways, I did get everything working. And here on the bed, I actually have some prints because I am super impatient and I could not wait to not print. So while I was remixing and making some parts for this, I also went ahead and did some printing, and I found a few things out. So we'll do a little bit of story time first, and then we'll get into building, finishing up the core build of this, which is going to be this front panel. So once, again, left, got everything finally together, bed knobs, everything on and working. I'd modified this bed, and well, Llama, you have to invite me. Anyways, so I modified this bed so the connector is coming from the bottom instead of the top because the contact pads, the soldering pads are right on the top of the bed, which really isn't good because you can't put the build sheet all the way back on top of that. So I'd read that several people in the BLV Facebook group had modified it and drilled from the bottom and put the connector on in the bottom. Great, I'll give that a shot. Well, it works, but I'm pretty sure I have a grounding fault in it because it actually will trip the power supply after about 5 minutes of printing, maybe 4 minutes of printing, not very long. And that kind of sucked. So I ended up printing without the heated bed. So I went ahead and put down some blue tack, some blue tape, and some glue stick on it. And that was working fine. A few original prints I had going just fine with this like sandpapery, crummy sheet that it came with. I was able to get some things to stick, but anything larger like a 150% benchy, not so much. I did print this at 150% because I am using a 0.6 millimeter nozzle and printing a little 100% benchy with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. It kind of looks just like a blob. It's not really great, so I boosted it up a little bit, and that's where we got from there. But I did notice in my printings, let's pull up this real quick. So when I was printing with the heated bed, I was getting these type of artifacts. So it's almost like a Z-banding, but it was just from the power draw of the bed was adversely affecting the rest of the printer and getting this crazy banding. So I was like, okay, figured that out, turned the bed off, and then I got this cube. So this is the XYZ cube at 200%, so it's 40 millimeters by 40 by 40. And this measures out almost exactly. It's very, very close. But you see, there are a couple little gaps in here. You know, I mean, this is a simplified 3D profile that I'm still tuning. But other than that, no real ghosting. This is 80 millimeters a second. And overall, pretty consistent extrusions. So I went ahead and then did a little ghosting cube. And it's hard to tell. I mean, this is clear, but if you look at the stream, there is a smidge of ghosting in there, maybe. It's just kind of hard to tell because of this clear filament that I had loaded in there. And this is just you can see the multicolors in there. This is a MakerBox spool that I made using the palette from that video that I did like 2 months ago or a month ago. I'm just using those spools for all this testing, so you're going to see random colors and everything. But either way, that was good. Then I went to print 100% benchy, and I forgot to re-enable the infill, so I've got this little half boat But everything was looking good on the overhang, again, for 100%, very, very small for that nozzle. Then I went ahead and started printing this was a 200% benchy. And you can see it was a little off. It went a little bit too low here, a little too high there. So something was up with the ABL on that. But also, I was getting tons of clicking in the BMG on infill. And I realized that for some reason, it's just printing this so fast at 80 millimeters a second with the 0.6 millimeter nozzle, I was over extruding the infill. A couple ways to fix that: lower the extrusion width of the infill, or heighten your temperature, lower speeds. I decided to lower the extrusion width of the infill to, I believe I'm at 95% now, is what I have it set to here. I have it open here so I can take a quick look at it. I'm pretty sure it's 95% is what I changed it to. And I lowered it down to 65 millimeters a second. Clicking went away. So I'm going to try again going faster, but with like 230 degrees for PLA, and see if that reduces the clicking and the slipping, basically, is what that is. Or it could just be because it is a super duper cheap clone BMG. I can replace this with an actual one, which I'm debating on doing. If I'm going to go full ham on this printer with like everything I'm doing, I might as well buy better stuff. It's cheaper to buy it here than was in the kit, so I might go with that. But anyway, so I fixed all of that, and then I completed this 150% scale benchy. And I mean, honestly, it looks pretty fantastic. You can definitely see the layer changes, and you're seeing the retraction in there. So retraction still needs tuned a little bit. I think I'm at 2 millimeters. It's a little bit aggressive. I need to kind of hone that down a bit more, but again, it's very preliminary. But overall, I mean, the cooling is fantastic. It kicks on to 50% at layer 5 and 100% at layer 10, just to make sure I get a nice good solid bottom on there. But I mean, the bottom's kind of murky because it's glue stick and it's on this sandpaper stuff and it's on the blue tape. A lot going on there. But overall, I mean, the smokestack honestly looks really, really nice. See if I can zoom a little bit in on that. Yeah, there we go. But that smokestack looks great. And the overhangs from the doorway and the window is really nice there too. Side doors, again, there's really no ghosting going on there whatsoever, which is really good. And of course, can't we see the text with such a big nozzle? But anyways, this was turning out really well, and I was very excited for how all that was going. And again, it is turning out to be pretty fantastic. I'm happy with how well it's printing so far. Obviously, need a lot more tuning. I did go ahead and grease all of the rails with some, what I have, the 3-in-1 oil. So as it was printing and I ran just some movements, put in a bunch of oil in there, let it soak in and run, then put lithium grease on both of the Z's. So those are nice and quiet now. You can see a little bit heavier in the front, so we can't see that far back. But anyways, put some blobs on there, ran it up and down, ran a bead down, all of it with a cloth, just to get everything greased up and moving really well. And it does move really well. I am getting, which is what I kind of thought was going to happen, is I am getting vibrations in the frame because both of the motor here and here, so your X and Y, or your two, I mean, they run the same, just opposite directions. Either way, so your X and Y motors, they're touching the frame and instilling a ton of vibration through the printer, which I'm really not happy about that noise. It's kind of just a pain. So I am going to have, I already had redesigned these to make them supportless and just be easier to print, less fillets and all chamfers to make everything just look nicer and be better. So I think I'm going to edit these and bring everything at least a millimeter over and a millimeter forward. And that will give me the space I need to not have the motor resting. It needs to be hanging. It can't rest on here because, again, those vibrations are just going to go into the frame, especially if you want to print fast. Those motors are working hard. You're going to get that residual sound, and it gets pretty loud. When it starts really clipping, it's pretty loud. Initially, it is dead silent for the first few layers. Once you get past that solid infill and you're doing the sparse infill, it gets pretty loud, and you can just hear it in the pulleys, you can hear it from the motors, and the entire frame just radiates that sound. And that's also with using these new feet that I made for it, which have, which is actually using some of the tiles. I talked about it in the last video. Some of the tiles from my floor just cut up and shoved in there, and that's acting as the cushion for it. So yeah, I saw that, Dan. I don't know. I didn't know why I didn't know that was enabled, but usually I'm not in this picture, but I'll fix it later. But yeah, so I am still getting quite a bit of vibration. I'm not happy with that. So that'll be a redesign for another time. I don't really have the time to do that right now. But I did go ahead, and so that brings us up to date to the front panel. So let's talk about front panel parts. So it has these pretty nifty little LED diffusers that a NeoPixel ring will go in, and it has a backer that sticks on the back, and then it's got this little twist in part that's supposed to twist in the front here. Well, the tolerances are way too close, and they just don't print well the way that these threads are, and this part is so thin and just not very well supported, it just kind of bugs out. And if you do get it to go in, which I got this one to partially thread in there, it just snaps off. And I think I threw away the snapped off top part of it, but that just snapped right off. And so it's not really strong, and it wasn't really suitable for printing. Also, the parts have some issues with them, so I had to fix as well. So anyways, I ditched that idea, and I'm going with a new version that I made. So basically, I have the exact same one. I just took out all of the threads in there and made this solid a little bit thicker, so that it's a little more substantial, and that just slides in there real nicely, and I'll just tack it with a piece of glue once it gets in there, and it'll be good to go. This one on this one is a little bit, it's about to say, I thought this one was a little bit tighter. But these diffusers is what's printing right now. These printed on Megatron, and I had this layer skip in it on the ones for the G code for that printer. I don't know why. They're printing on the Ender 3 right now, and this one printed perfectly. Needs a little bit of cleanup because it's PETG, but otherwise it works really well. And we'll get some decent diffusion. Well, that blows out the camera like crazy. Anyways, it does give some decent diffusion using this clear PETG that I have laying around. So it'll work out well for that, and they will mount, if they even fit. Really tight fit, it seems like. I might need to modify these too, into the front panel here, but it looks like they don't even fit. I didn't try fitting them into the panel yet. They fit, just a bit of persuasion is needed. But yeah, they mount in like that, and then you'll have the glowing in the front panel, which is pretty nifty design. There are a few remixes out there. Instead of using the ring, whoops, where'd I go? Instead of using the ring NeoPixels, they're just using some NeoPixel strips they modified and put in here. I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm going to keep with this design for now, I think, as I like it. This panel is okay. The screen panel is okay. This one had a layer shift in it. This is the middle panel. I'm going to install it today just so we kind of get everything together and looking good. But I have to reprint this one. And I'm low on PETG. I do not have enough to reprint this. I have more on order from Ziltech. So when that finally comes in, I will unmount this and mount the new one in. But that's just something I'll have to kind of deal with. And I don't know, because of that layer shift, if these parts will fit, which I'm thinking that they won't, because it's not that big of a layer shift, but it's a good half mil or a mil, I guess, in there. It's really hard to see. You can see the little gap there. Right there is that little lip. That is the layer shift. And even on the top here, it's just ever so slightly there. Just ever so slightly. So it's really not that much. You can see it actually right here even better. That little, again, it's not much, but it is enough that it doesn't line up properly. And I'll try, maybe what Aaron said, try to sand these down or use my deburring tool or my knife here and try and just get this fit a little bit better for these. Not much, but we'll see. And if I don't get the LEDs installed today, it's not the biggest deal because I don't have the LEDs yet. So it doesn't really matter if I get those installed yet. I kind of just want to complete the look of this and get pretty close to it and then get more tuning on the profile. And then we'll be done with this build for a little while because I'm waiting for the bed. That's going to take probably a month or two to come in. I ordered a tooling pieces of aluminum for the bed, so it's going to be like ultra flat. It's custom size, so it's bigger than this, quite a bit bigger actually. And then I went ahead and ordered a custom flex bed for it. There's a company online that will custom cut one for me. I just had to buy one a little bit bigger, and they cut it down to size. It'll be great. And then the exact same thing with a heated pad. I had to buy one a little bit bigger. They're going to cut it down and put the holes in it and then reseal it for me on the silicone pad. So everything will fit. The mounting holes will be all the same. The only thing I have to do to the tooling plate is actually drill my mounting holes, which I already have it modeled up in Fusion. I can print out the drawing for it, tape it onto it, do my 4 holes, and that's done. And I just have to countersink them so that the screws can fit all the way through. I might need to get some bigger M4s. I'm not sure yet, but I'm probably going to end up getting some bigger M4s for it, just a little bit longer, so that works out better. And then, oh yeah, finally, so the printer uses these honeycomb shapes a lot of places. This is the grill that goes in the back. It's a pain to print in PTG because it's so stringy, and I didn't have my settings right on the Mark 3S when I printed these, so they didn't come out great. I need to reprint them. These two were okay, but these other two, less than ideal. Trying to print the front panels with that it's just driving me crazy. I was not getting decent layer adhesion and just so many small details and printing it so slow. And I hate using glue stick if I can help it, so I didn't want to. I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna redesign new front panel grills. So I ended on this design here. So this is how the front grill will be. It's kind of a little retro looking, I think, but these end up going down in the bottom. You know, somewhere around here is where they will end up sitting at to hide all that away and be down there. So I think with all that being said, let's fix the camera a little bit so you guys can see what's going on. And then I will go ahead and start installing all this, which is pretty easy. I do have the drawing open here. It did? Yeah, here we go. So I have the drawing open here. Go to this one. There we go. So you guys can see what I'm working with there. And we're going to go ahead and assemble the main big pieces first. And then we'll get the screen glued in. It does, oh, I didn't show that yet. So this is going to have to go, this is one. Let me just pull this down and through, and I can show you guys my screen install, which is, I think, pretty nice. I like it. But I got the screen working during the live stream on Monday. So that was another big accomplishment, is getting that done and working, because I wanted to be able to run this from the screen and not always have it connected to Pronterface, because it won't always be on my table. Next week, I will not have another build video with this. It's going to be a maintenance live stream, I think, on getting this working. So let me here a little bit, too much. Here, and let's zoom in. There we go. So I modified, this is the main LCD panel that goes on it. And see you, Aaron. This has the buttons up top, which will control LEDs and other various functions. So I did keep those. I don't know if I'm going to use all 3 of them. I might modify to do 2, but I do want them to work for the LEDs. So that's what that's going to work for. Basically, I just modified a thing on Thingiverse. I just basically took its whole pattern and put it on an angle to here. So this just slides right in the other way, not upside down. like so. It's a little bit of a looser fit. I could make it a little bit tighter. And I'll have to reconnect the cables, but that is going, actually it can fit just like that. And that goes in just like so. So I'm going to just use some CA glue and tack in this piece here so it doesn't, because right now it'll just slide right out. But the nice thing about this design is at a little bit of an angle, so if it's down, you can have a good look at it. I thought about making one articulating, but the time it would take me to design that was kind of severe, so decided not to. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of hooks on pretty easily. The hardest part's going to be is just getting all of these attached, all the different T-nuts that are on this. I'll have to do the bottom one last, I think, because I'll set this one in, set these two in here, and kind of go from there. But it's going to be a little bit of a task to get all of these in its current design. So it's okay. I'll be able to tack that in. This is the back cover for all the switches that are in here. So this will just kind of keep anything from going in there. And that attaches to this and the back panel. All these cables inside will be hidden eventually with some paneling that I have on order. It's coming. It is already going to be cut to the outer dimensions that I need. I just need to cut out the different parts in here to make it fit. So that'll be pretty good. So let me go ahead and reroute this cabling first so that I can get everything in its proper place. Take it off for now. Because the also reason I'm thinking about editing the way that the front panel is just to make it a little more serviceable, because in its current way it's going to be installed, getting to the screen is going to be possible, but really freaking hard. And I'm not settled on, like, having this extra support structure here to hold everything in is a very interesting way to do it, but it really isn't necessary because you have the 2040 down there, which everything else kind of aligns itself with. See, because all that attaches on there like this. So it's not really that needed, but, you know, kind of is what it is. So before I glue that in, we're going to get all this assembled. So these two pieces are held together with, eventually will be glue. I'm not going to glue them today because I just need to reprint this piece. But this is held in with a M3x16 screw and a nut in the backside there. Just get out my container here of parts. I have all the M5s ready, but I kind of forgot to get out this one M3 screw that's needed for this one part. And I have everything in here now, so it's going to take me a quick second. This one's right here. And I drilled this hole. That should fit in there okay. I did not drill that hole, so second here. It's done. Kind of just slot together like that. Easy day. But now the layer shift is kind of obvious at the bottom there. You can see off by a bit there. That'll be okay for now. I really wanted to reprint this, but not having any more PETG makes it kind of tough to be able to do that. Oh, of course, I would drop the M3. I got one of my orders of Ziltech filament in, but it was the second order I made. My first order still wasn't here. And oddly enough, when I look on the UPS tracking website, it says that the shipping number isn't right. I sent them an email yesterday. Hopefully they get back to me soon on where that other order is, because that was my PETG order. And I got all the PLA that I ordered on the 21st, but I ordered that stuff on the 11th when they got stock. And that's still not here. So also going to go ahead and put some of these M5s in here, which those don't fit. Interesting. Hey, Viking. Pull these in a little bit. There we go. A little bit too tight on those holes. I'll have to make a note, and because I did already modify these to be printable without supports, because in order to print these on the face, you would have to have supports in these holes. And as discussed in a previous stream, that is one thing that this build does not address very well, is the amount of support needed for all of these parts. And again, if Prusa can do it without any supports, any printer can for the most part. So that's one thing I would really like to see, is will probably be my version, is a non-support version. Brandon, I wouldn't think so. For as much business as I have got them, and for as much business as I give them, I don't think that's the case. But again, I already sent my contact at Ziltech an email saying, hey, what's up with this? It could be they typed in a wrong number whenever they were entering the information. It happens. I mean, when their stuff goes on sale, they sell out pretty quickly lately. After the PPE frenzy that everyone was doing earlier this year, now that most of that is over, they do have more stock. Yeah, but I need to get that settled so I can get it back. And these two do not join together, oddly enough. So I'll just go ahead and prep the M5s that go in here. So this will just attach on at the end of this. The center one is tabbed. So basically these two outer panels hold on the center panel. I mean, it's held in by some M5s, but it is basically held into place with these two outer panels. So 1, 2, front ones, let's pull these in. This should be a pretty easy fix. Just add an extra half a mil, honestly. They're close. Just a little bit too tight. I can't imagine if you had printed this with support, as is needed, getting all that out and getting this to be clean would be pretty tough. So, all right, I'm going to get ready to install this. Before we do that, we're going to glue in this panel. So I've got my CA glue ready here. And we're just going to and it has the tab overlaps with it, so you've got a decent amount of surface area for this glue to hold on to. I'm going to just hold this in place for a minute. Let that glue take hold. Hey, Gunner. That's in. Just takes a second for that glue to take hold. Do one more M5 in here. This one's going to be to get in there. It's going to be tough because I can't do both of these at the same time. Take this one off, and I'll add it on in a little bit here. Line up, there we go. So we got those ones on there. Now the nice thing is that in here there are some recesses so that you can leave the corner bracket on in the corner. So it's kind of cut out for that. I thought that was a pretty ingenious design to be able to do that, and that way you're not losing any stability from the metal corner bracket. You're not replacing it with some PETG part, because PETG is not going to be as strong as metal, obviously. So it's nice to kind of see that engineering difference. Here. So on a little bit. This way. Man, that is a tight fit. Get this last panel on. One thing that Ben did in his that I really did like is that once this is all together and it actually lines up, so obviously this middle one is not quite lined up, this all got vinyl wrapped with carbon fiber. And I did order some carbon fiber vinyl wrap in order to do that, because I think that will just get rid of these gnarly looking seams. If you can get this together, maybe a little bit of putty, a little bit of sanding, get this real nice and smooth, I think that will look really nice for the final kind of look of it. I mean, it's fine if this is the only carbon fiber part that it has or anything like that. I'm totally okay with that. But I do think it will add a nice little touch to the assembly there and kind of just look a little more smoother. Hey, granted, it's black, so it's hard to see anyways, especially in a video, but there's clearly these 3 lines. I wish I could print this in one piece. If I lived anywhere near Ivan, I would definitely give him a ring and say, hey broski, can you print this out for me in your gigantic printer? Because that would be pretty awesome. see if I can get this this one here done. Sit. Did I crush it? No, I missed it. Totally missed it. And this is one of those parts that, like, does it really need to have this screw in here? Probably not. So kind of can go with that with it. Come on. No, I can't get it out. Thanks, Gunner. Transfer that ISK to Eve next time I play. That back panel is held in by a M5 at the bottom, and then it's held in with two M3 by 14s. You can get out two of those. Saw the baggie for those. Wait. These are M3 by 14s, but those are Phillips. I don't want Phillips heads. I could dive into my bag of parts and see if we get it there. So. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Hang on one second, guys. I'll be right back. I'm back. So Llama, look what you're doing. The problem is you can't do that with this because it is on this face and this face. There's no way to get, especially because this is 2040, there's no way to get this part in and this part in with the T-nut at the same time. You have to put them on separately. There's literally no other way to do it. And that would be the second, another LED diffuser is ready to go off the printer. So I'll grab that. Let me throw these other bits away. These are the ones that don't fit. These are the ones that do fit. That's a threaded piece of trash. These are both failed, so throw those ones away. Let me pull this one off real quick and start this printer again. Let me let it cool down for a minute. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's hot. Hot, hot, hot. Who would have thought that, you know, a build sheet coming off at 85C was hot? Oh, okay, let me try and fish out some, where's my thing at? Right here. Some 14 mil M3. I would have thought found this one. No, that one's too long. We got 20 or something. The 16 should work though. I think only the 14s I have are pan heads. What's the 16? Is this 18? I thought it was 16. 1 minute here to find screws. Honestly, even that is too big. I can use 10s. Why? I don't even know why I'm fishing. There's no reason. 10s are more than long enough for this part. That's another one of just, not a pet peeve, but I'm just not happy with the length of screws needed in half of these parts are way too long. This part is only a few millimeters thick. So putting in anything more than a 10, it's just, I mean, that's more than enough to hold in this part. I'll hold that. So when I do get the LEDs in, that will be a separate video. Once I do some kind of exploring first into what's required, I'll figure out how to get these switches wired in, how I'm gonna do the wiring, how to actually program these, because I did find a thing where you can use a Arduino Nano along with the SKR to run the NeoPixels. Granted, the SKR 1.4 Turbo does have the integrated into it. This is not a 1.4 Turbo, it's 1.3. So I'm gonna try the Arduino route. If I get it to work, great stuff. If I don't, I might order a 1.4 for this build and just run the NeoPixels off of that. I think that'll work as well, but I do want to try first and see if I can get the Nano working with it. All right, so now, get my prints out of the way here. Build sheet is just about ready. Okay, that off there. I'm really liking this new flex sheet I got. This is the Easy Flex 2 from TH3D that I bought a couple weeks ago. But I think tonight is the first night I'm printing with it. Off the Ender 3, some pretty good looking PETG prints. I've been trying to get more build sheets of different types lately to try out. I ordered some more off of AliExpress for some of my printers. I have a couple of the TH3D ones. I also have the TH3D's old one that I'm using on one of my printers somewhere. I think it might be up. I have the Wham Bam as well I've been using. So those have all been pretty interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and tip this up now so I can access the bottom of the printer. But this is the screen that the kit came with. It's just the RepRap discount smart, full graphics smart one. Nothing special. I didn't find any. I think maybe there was one. I see it, Llama. David, I have both. I bought the textured and the non-textured. I'm using the textured PETG. Anyways, there was like one mount online for this. I wasn't really happy with it. There was one that was an articulating, but the guy uploaded like PSU mounts into it. It wasn't actually the parts for this printer. I mean, it was for this printer, but it was for the custom power supply mount that he made. So yeah, I downloaded them and went to print them. I was like, these are not right. And I still need to print a spool holder, which I just finished modeling, and I might end up doing some kind of video on that. But yeah, so these are clearly not that. I don't have enough sticking out in these, so I will need to maybe I'll do this tonight once I have this flopped up. These have kind of smushed down most of the way, so I'll make these thicker, and we'll put new foam into those. I also want to shift this plate over a little bit while I'm here, and then I have another clear sheet of acrylic that will also fit back here once I shift that over, and then I can use this to mount the the spool holder on, and I'll need another 1 or 2 5mm or voltage regulators on this so that I can drop the voltage down for some of the LEDs from 24 to 12 volt and for Arduino and stuff. But yeah, all of this stuff will get hidden under a nice panel here. So I think that's going to be pretty sweet. I do have some other things to print for like the cables on the Proby for the new bed, but it'll at least help manage the cables a bit and to hide up here at the top once that stuff comes in. So I went under here for a purpose, and that was to mount these things. So these just slot up into here. Put those on wrong. Those need to go into the slot, I think. Three in the top here. Come on, where's it at? There we go. Stuck on there. This one here too, I think. Yeah, so these need to go in here. That's not right. I don't really like how these mount at all. Like, goofiness is this? Sit like that, maybe? I'm not really sure here, but I don't really like the way that this mounts together. This will definitely be a thing that I need to remix and sort out because I am not. I mean, there are several remixes for the front panel. I'm just not terribly happy with this one. To make my own version, like most everything else I've done with this printer, which is getting a little bit old. These mount here. So here, we need some more M5s into here. And this just slides in where it needs to go to. And two. And we'll do another one here. I also would love to print these in a different orientation for these bottom mounts. So granted, these are not load bearing at all. They just need to be snugged. But there's also a bit of a gap that needs to be sorted out in this. Yeah, because these are not lining up appropriately. So this here, you can see, if I go down here a little bit, there you go. So you can see that there's a gap here. I'll need to widen these a bit. So what I can do is I can come back with the calipers, measure how far they need to be, just add a little bit of here to both of those and reprint those. I've got a ton of yellow PETG that I use for this, so that won't be a problem. But the screen is at least stable. I'm just kind of worried about that. I'm not, again, the way these are lining up, maybe it's just because this layer shifted why it's mounting so weirdly, but I'll get that reprinted. Yeah, because it's not matching up with that side either. So that'll be a reprint part and get that on here. So I'm going to go ahead and wait to mount the bottom of these on until I get that reprinted. That's not really, again, those aren't really necessary to have on here, but I do like the way that that is going so far. Now while I'm down here, again, I'm going to go ahead and replace out the foam from these feet. It does compress a fair bit. I do need to get some like decent EVA foam for this. I don't have any, so using these exercise mat cutoffs is what I'll be using here. Just get, where's my knife? Fair bit thicker on these. Just does, I just sandwich it together. We'll do the textured size together, and this just goes into the foot. I did have somebody, they shared their a TPU foot that they had made for this printer as well that I might want to try out. I think that might be better than these. These were an absolute bear to get on. I had to actually hammer them on because of the way that they put they added in the little like triangle from the inside of the extrusion. I don't know what that was all about. It's just kind of an odd choice. I mean, yeah, it makes them fit on nice and snugly, but it makes it absolute bear to deal with. Got my next ones too while I'm at it here. These don't need to be perfect because once the printer weighs them down, it compresses them really nice and evenly, puts more weight in certain areas than others, so it compresses pretty nicely. But the longevity of this, I don't know. I've also debated on making mounts for the racquetballs that I've used on several other printers. And I think that might end up being the route I go. Whoa, don't fall off. A little top heavy. Go the racquetball mount route because they will slip on real easily. It will make the printer a bit taller, which I'm not really too keen on. But I might just remix this mount, take out the inside geometry of it, and then attach it to my racquetball mount that I already made for several other printers. You have the racquetballs for them, so kind of makes everything easy to remix your own parts. One thing I do need is a sharpener for my knives, and I asked Bill Duran on Twitter, but he never replied back. because he's Builderan. He's not gonna really talk to a schlep like me. But I really would like to know what he uses in his shop for sharpening all of his stuff, because he sharpens knives like all the time, and I don't. And I would like to reuse some of these blades, get a little more life out of them before I have to retire them so quickly. And I don't want to buy a bunch of blades. I mean, yeah, they're consumable. They're fairly cheap, but I don't know. Like, if I can make one blade last longer, spending a couple bucks on a sharpener, then I kind of want to do that. Okay, while I'm here, I'm just gonna move this panel smidge. This way. Come on. Here's all the cables down there. Out of the way. Just run this all the way over. And I'll drill this other panel some other time. I'm not gonna do it tonight. It's easier to mount when it's laying down. I did that standing up last time. It was kind of a dumb thing to do. Oh, I guess while we're here as well, let's see if we can fit in at least one of these diffusers to see how that's going to look. I do need to, again, trim it up a little bit. Again, there's fillets everywhere. So many fillets. It needs to be pretty clean looking as well. I'm not 100% satisfied with these, but yeah, so the LED ring will sit in here, and then this part has cutouts so you can solder to that LED ring. It's up into here, which two is enough. I'm going to have to take these out anyways to put the other one in, because these do not, you can't reach the top mounting hole. And then I think it's just the M3x10, M3x8s. Yeah, it's with these little baggy go. It's in here. These just fit into here. I think I'll just be able to fit in two of them into this. I have no real way to like show this because it's way in the back underneath of this. Yeah, I can't get to that top one. But at least you'll be able to see what it kind of looks like with at least one of them in. Yeah, I'll definitely redesign some ball feet for this. But there you can see what one LED ring is. It does come nice and flush with the design. Excuse me there. And I'm hoping that the print is good enough to not make it look weird. That's the one thing I'm worried about, is once I put a ring light behind this, how it's going to look being that this is a transparent filament. I might do white instead and remix this to just be 1 or 2. I mean, the LED is really close to this. And I do have some white PETG that I could, or no, I ordered some. I ordered some white PETG. So I could try that and see how that works out. And then these little caps just go in the middle there. And yeah, I mean, it would almost be better if I printed the cap on here like this. Like make this one piece to kind of slide through there. It almost thinks that that would be a way to go. What we got? We got a super chat here. What we got? So from I can't pronounce your name. BLV MGN is a very nice sequence of lives. Can't afford them all, but wanted to watch them all so far. Ah, well, thank you. Krylo. I'll call you Krylo. How about that? Be easier that way. Yeah, I mean this can be a super expensive build, just like the rail core. I mean, there's some people that have spent, $2,000 to $3,000 on a rail core. Not going to happen with this printer. I'm trying to do it in an affordable way. So I didn't go for every bell and whistle out there, but I did go for some LED rings. Again, these are cheap. I think these were like $2 or $3 a piece to add some LEDs in. The Arduino is, I don't know, $2 for an Arduino clone. But yeah, I think the way to go is just center this on here, merge that, and print this as one piece. That way it can just slide in there together. I just think that's the best way to go there. Steven's asking, what's this printer going to cost me? I'm pretty sure I've spent $850 on everything so far, and I think that's going to be kind of the total of it. No, I'm over that now. I am just shy of 1,000, I will say, because the new bed that I bought is 100, and I mean it was 40 for the bed, 60 for the sheet, and then 32, so 130 for the bed. That was for the heated pad, the custom 2-sided sheet, and the custom cut aluminum bed. The aluminum bed is going to be 6 millimeters thick, no warping whatsoever in that sucker. So now speaking about the cost there, this printer is going to be mostly funded by patrons. So the patrons are funding pretty much this build. All my Patreon money for the next few months, I'm just dumping towards this. And then the bear build, which I'm still missing a few parts for. I haven't got it all in yet. I'm hoping maybe the next week or two to get all the bear parts. So if I do next week a maintenance week on all my printers, just spend time maintaining all the printers, getting everything back running again. And then after that, hopefully I'll get all the bear parts and finish the bear up. I also still need to finish my printer challenge printer. There's a month left on the printer challenge, so I'll see if I can get that working. But I do know that these were delivered at my US address, so they will take another 2 to 3 weeks to get here for me to have the buttons. But all in all, the front panel is not that much work. I mean, again, custom design, redesigning a bunch of these parts, gonna redesign some of these mounting parts, just because, I mean, it is a super solid structure. It's just way overkill for what it really needs to be. But I think once I get everything printed real nicely, sand this down a bit, get a nice piece of carbon fiber vinyl across the whole bit, and then reinstall it, I think that will look pretty sweet. I really do think that'll be a slick looking part at that point and make that look real nice. Get some side panels cut out for this as well to put on. That's going to take some time because I need to cut and measure all of the corner brackets and all the pieces here to get everything in there real nicely. So that'll definitely be fun. But again, I am so happy that this thing prints. It is just too awesome. I'm still fighting with the firmware on certain things, getting everything working. I had a bug come up. It's an SKR bug that I found that a lot of other people have already found. So kind of working through the SKR bugs with Marlin 2. I'm running the newest 2.5.3 bug fix now for this. So I do have the auto bed leveling working for the most part. right now it's just doing 3 probes at 9 points, so 3, 3, 3. I want to do 3 probes at 5 points each, so having 25 points for it to probe 3 times, so 75 probes in total for this large bed. I do that on Megatron without a problem with the exact same hardware. So, but for some reason it just is not jiving with this build as much. So not terribly happy with that. Definitely gonna have to move around some of my the way I have this mounted. Nice thing also about having the sheet back here is I can kind of play with where I'm going to have everything mounted before I put in I have a full sheet coming to put in the back here. And I want to be able to have an idea and drill this up and do whatever I want to this clear, cheap 1/8 inch thick sheet, figure out my placement for everything, and then do one final drilling on that and get everything lined up exactly where I want it to go and have it be in the most economical spaces. I might actually turn the power supply sideways to run it down here real close to the actual the switch so that I can have my spool up here as high as I can with a reverse Bowden tube, which is right here. You can't really see it. It's right here. It's the blue tube up in here that runs up into there. I am going to sleeve all of this soon. I am fairly certain I have everything wired the way it's supposed to be, and everything is working. It's why I'm storing all the test prints. I don't want to sleeve all of this and get all that work done and it just not work. And I also think I want to figure out some type of reverse Bowden tube holder for this. I don't want the tube just kind of hanging here. I want to figure out some way to mount it in the back. So I think I'll design a little 3D printed part to kind of go on there. I need to rotate the back 2 motors. I need to redesign and reinstall, I think, these back 2 corners. But that's going to be a little while away because that's going to be a ton of work to redesign all these parts. I've redesigned most of the parts in this build. Not all of them, but I would say a good 50% of the parts I've redesigned just to kind of get everything in a better working manner. And I want to do one nice big upload to Thingiverse with the remix of all my parts so that if someone wants to do it, they can. And then Aaron and I are working on rehauling the entire thing, all new parts, and making our own. So eventually, I think I'll rip this down, rip this apart, and install all of my new custom parts onto it. It's a very good foundation. I like it a lot. Few things I want to change, and I think we'll be able to do that. $1 shipping, good gravy, Gunner. The sheets I bought is these ones from Tap Plastic. They were like maybe, I think once, it was funny. So I bought them, they're $10 a sheet, custom cut. But if you add a second one of the same size, it adds like $2 to $3. So it ends up getting 2 sheets for like $13. So it makes them like $6 and change a piece to get, maybe $7 for some of them. I was like, yes, please. That was stupid cheap. So I got 2 of each side to put on there. But yeah, I mean, oh no, I mean this is a functional printer right now. It's not too bad at all. I will need, again, just figuring out where I want to do electronics. I'm going to give myself some time here. So the next week or 2 I'm going to spend on redesigning, reprinting, sizing everything up, make sure everything works. I mean, I haven't even taken the protective screen off of this yet. So it's really close to where I want it to be. I just have to do a bit more work to get it exactly where I want it to be. Some cable management stuff in here as well. But I mean, it is really close, and I'm happy so far. That's oily. I forgot about that. But yeah, like I said, I mean, so far for, I mean, prints, I haven't done anything too complicated, but a 150% benchy off of this 0.36 millimeter layer height. You can see those nice fat layers in there. I am happy with it so far. I wouldn't mind getting a Prusa slicer profile made for this and working. I just haven't tried that yet. I'm going to get Simplify 3D working first and then move to Prusa slicer. But yeah, I mean, overall, it does some really nice printing. It's a little loud. but we'll get there. Well, that didn't take long at all. Not too long at all. We'll zoom out now. I did fix my zoom in this. I was able to ungum it up. It was a little gummy. Also, the 24-volt part cooling fan that it came with is pretty loud, so I might order a better one off of TH3D. He has some good ones apparently, so I might order one off of him and quiet down that part cooling fan because it gets really loud at 100%. Let me turn this thing on now. Like I said, everything does function. There it goes. I got a little worried there for a quick second. I was like, All right, through the motion, we'll do auto home. And I mean, it's all sensorless homing on the X, sensorless homing on the Y. And then it goes to a safe location for the Z, pulls it down a little bit, and then brings it up. The homing, I have it halved in speed, I believe it is, for this. It was a setting I saw on one of Chris Warkocki's videos of how he does it. And I wanted to maybe try like glass on here or something like that, but the probe won't make it through glass. It's just too thick. I have some 2 mil mirror tiles and 2.5 mil glass. It can't make it through either of them without hitting the nozzle as well. I would have to get this like right where the nozzle is, and I'm a little. I don't like having my probe that close to the nozzle because it ends up hitting support that like is peeling up or something like that, and it's just another point for something to grab onto. So that's a no-no for that. But yeah, I mean everything moves the way it should. Let's see if I do move axis, move Z. Again, Z will move pretty quick once I tell it to. It's 350 on the Z axis. I mean, you can barely. It definitely helps a bit now that I have the thicker pads in there. Definitely a little less vibration. Move Y. Yeah, really nice and smooth. All of the rails are right where they should be. I think they need a little bit more lube in them, but I'll get to that later. And yeah, so far I am pretty happy with this. I need to get a custom knob for this too. I don't like the stock knob. Oh. So, Alan, you're saying the IR sensor. So, yes, the IR sensor is another option to go. And I just today found a remix, but the IR sensor doesn't work with the Volcano. It actually doesn't work at all with having this front cover on. The IR sensor doesn't fit, period, which I thought was pretty funny. But I did find where someone remixed this front cover and the IR sensor for a direct drive. I just need to modify it for a Volcano nozzle because my nozzle comes way down further than a standard V6 does. So that's really not that great. But yeah, so that other LED part is almost done. So what I'm going to do is over the next few days, I'll get this printed, that printed. I just finished modeling up the new. Actually, I could show it here. Might as well show it real quick. Bring up Fusion. That was me modeling that LED. All right, so here's the spool holder. So I found this, it was called like this filler wall mount. I don't know. There are people, some guy had made this, and it's really universal. Like honestly, it was for, yeah, here it is right here. So it's the filler customizable filament spool holder. And he has it for a few. So there's one plastic bearings. He's got a CR10, ANET, Prusa, Creality, Ultimaker, and the wall mount. So what I did is I remodified the wall mount to make it thinner. I have 100 millimeters from the back side of this acrylic sheet to the back side of the printer. The back side of the printer is going to be enclosed, which is where this filament's going to go. So I had to measure from, I don't want to do that, stop that. And it's back from here to here. I'm at 96 millimeters. And from this ring to this ring. Cancel that out again. Inspect from this ring to this ring. I have 62 millimeters there. So a standard spool is a little more than that. So I think I'm going to modify, take these fillets out of it, and to make it just a little bit wider. I don't need those fillets there. I need it to be as wide as possible. And most spools I have, I believe, are 65 millimeters. Is like a standard standard size. I like to make it a little bit bigger. So like this one, it would need to be, like this one's 75 here. So I want to get this to be a little bit wider than what it is right now. So I'm not limited in my spool choice, but I have to take into account for the bearings that have to go in there, having it be sturdy enough against the back sheet, because this is going to be, you know, sticking out the back of the printer. This has to fit in that rear enclosure part. So I have a little more adjusting to do on this, but I think once I delete out these fillets here, which, oh, these freaking fillets, I'll have to figure out how he go. Oh, I have to go from the roller here. I forgot that's a imported part there. Made it into a, I don't like that at all. That one. So now from this circle here, inspect from here to here, I'm at 65 millimeters. So I need to just, again, fix this up a little bit more, make that a little bit wider. This flange is just to help kind of center the spool a bit. But I think by doing a little bit more editing on this, I'll be able to get it to be what I want it to be. Yeah, like honestly, I could run it straight like that, but I don't want to do that. Don't want to do that at all yet. So it will be, I do that, that does this sort of like donut weirdness at the end there. So anyways, that's something that I need to fix up in this in order to get this how I want it, but a little bit more editing will work in that without a problem. I think that'll be okay. And that'll be my spool holder. It looks really sturdy. I'm happy with the design that the guy made. It looks very sturdy, and it will be easy to mount using just some M5s and some nylocks to mount in the back here, so that I'll position it just here to the side. So as soon as it comes up off the spool, it will go directly up into the PTFE tube for the reverse Bowden, up into the hot end. And I think that will be a pretty a fairly elegant solution. Other people have done it. My solution is a little bit different, but still similar. And again, I have some other parts here to try and hide away these cables and whatnot. I think I need to extend some of these cables because this extruder motor cable is not that long. I'll put a little extension on that maybe. But yeah, I am so far happy with the progress I've made. I definitely have a lot of work, so I'm gonna table printing with it and working on it for a little while. I'm gonna obviously modify the parts, but I'm actually gonna print any more for this. Yeah, Gunner, that is true. I do have some 100 millimeter smooth rods, but I think I'm gonna go this route first. And those 100 millimeter smooth rods would work out well. I would need to cut it down a little bit though, but I had those for another reason I bought those. I bought those cut at 100 millimeters. I don't remember why though. But yeah, again, the next week is just going to be modeling, reprinting, getting everything fit on here. So hopefully when I come back with this printer, I'll be ready to install the LEDs, and maybe 3 weeks max is what I'm hoping to come back and revisit this printer in a stream. I like doing the streams for this. I think it's worked out pretty well. So you can kind of interact with how this is going. But yeah, I might do just a separate video, or either a video or a live stream on assembling the bed and getting that ready. And again, I'm just hoping that I don't screw up drilling it, because I don't want to put extra holes in that plate that I don't have to. And I need to also print out a jig so that I drill straight down. because I don't have a drill press, and I don't have one of the, I used to have one of those attachments you put on your drill and then it helps you drill straight holes. I used to have that, but I'm just gonna 3D print a jig to make sure that I get really nice and straight down with those M4 holes. I don't want those to wander at all. And then I do have a, I keep forgetting the name and it's driving me crazy. A countersink bit coming for that, because right now I've just been using a step bit for doing my countersinks, which is not proper, but they've just been M3s, so a little with that, it's good to go. But with the larger holes, that's not a good solution, so I need to rectify that. Let me know how that works out for you, Gunner, because if you end up coming with a print for it, I might modify it to work with this. That would be something simple to add. I mean, there's going to be a lot of different options for this. There's a lot of options for printers as it is. It's approaching 250 remixes now on the parts. Quite a lot of remixes. Some of them are full remixes as well of different things. So I'm trying not to reinvent the wheel, and if somebody had already made a fix for it, I'm trying to use that rather than wasting my own compute hours of myself of redesigning parts for this. So I think we're going to keep today's stream short. That was really good. Again, it's a functional printer. I've got the LCD mounted, can use the SD card, can use the USB if I want, can run, this is the V3, so this is touchscreen and non-touchscreen, so it works out pretty well. What we got here? So I'll use spool BLV, horizontal 608. Let me see if I can find that one real quick, Alan, because that's got me curious now. Let's go here. Do you have a thing number for that, or you just remember what it's called? 608 spool holder. Quick filming guide. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. The only I might a little bit, Dan. Shoot me a thing on Twitter if I can make it. My only thing with these type of spool holders are for hollow spools, they don't work out well. So I'll use Ziltech for an example. So the Ziltech spools have a lip in here, right like that. And those bearings don't hit that lip. So that spool holder is good, but with the Amazon Basics, with Hatchbox, the inner hole here is solid. And you're riding those bearings the entire time. But if you're not riding the bearings, it doesn't work as well. So the reason why I like that other one, I'm using it on, I just modified that one for another printer. What am I using that on? I'm using a similar version for Megatron. And I like that because no matter the size of the spool or what the surface area of attaching to the spool holder is, the actual roller, it doesn't matter. It always has bearings to roll on because it's one solid piece of plastic to roll on. So again, I probably read too much into it, but that's just my personal preference of how I like that. And I mean, the new Amazon Basic spools are the same as the old ones. They're a little thicker, but yeah, I think a few more edits to that, and I'll be ready to print that really soon. Yeah, as you just said, yeah, they are fiddly for spools that are not solid in the center. Absolutely. Because it can also get hung up on that. I did actually, yes. So I had a version very similar to this one on the, when I had the Monoprice Select Mini, I printed one kind of like that before I ended up doing the sideways one. And it did work well, but again, it was fiddly for the non-solid spools. All right, guys, well, I'm going to call it there for the night. Dan, if I can, hit me up on Twitter. If I can make it here in a little bit, I will. I'm gonna go see what the wife is doing. See if she wants to watch a movie or something tonight. End my night a little earlier than normal. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this was part 6 of the BLV MGN. I'm gonna take a few weeks break on this. Gonna get the LEDs in, the new bed in, and things like that. And I need to redesign a few more parts on this and get them printed. And again, a part that kind of failed, get that printed as well. And I think this will be a pretty solid printer. So far, prints are good. They only can get worse. Well, they can get better too, but the goal is not to make them worse. They still need to work out. properly. So we'll see how all that goes. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to check out the project or any of the links, I put stuff down in the video description below. If you want to support the channel, help me fund crazy projects like this, consider becoming a patron or use some of the donation links down below or affiliate links down there as well. And yeah, join the Discord to talk with me or others, talk with me and others about the project, the 3D printing challenge going on and whatnot. So head down there. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Happy printing. Wash your hands. See you later.